Thank you, Session. I just wanted to try to pull a thread together from the presentations yesterday and the three presentations that we've heard. I think there is a common thread. Costantino talked a little bit in a way picking up from the discussion yesterday about box one, and particularly box three. I think his key points, again, the need to remember that change is a constant. Whether we want to change ourselves or not, it is not going to stop the process of change happening around us. I think it is a simple point there in a way. We need to open our minds to the box three world. That's Costa's driving point. We may be really comfortable doing the scissors jump, but if our competitors are doing the Fosbury flop, it doesn't matter. We can scissor all we want. We're on a long, slow death. So let's get excited and embrace the opportunity that change presents rather than the fear that we may not succeed in it. We really haven't any choice, so we may as well make it a positive. And in that way, I was really struck, I think, by Mr. Goenka's story. He started by saying, see the possible. I think that's where Costa's last slide ended. He talked about complacency being the path to failure. I think that says if we just stick in box one and don't think box three, that's complacency. We'll fail. The need for change is constant, he said. But again, I was struck always by the personal story. In some ways, he said, because he came from a famous family and had a famous name, that his task was more achievable. I sort of thought, personally, people could say the opposite, huh? Here's a guy with a lot to risk. He could have just said, I'm not going to do something so risky. My family's wealthy, my name is big, I can just carry on. More likely he would have done, more people I think would have done that. He took the opposite view. And I think that that's the lesson again to us about embracing risk in order to succeed. Many people here are famous names, famous families in the jewelry world in India. But we can't just sit back on that, and we have to take his inspiration to take risk, push forward, and create a new future. I thought it was really impressive. The other, I think, really good lesson from Mr. Goenka as it relates to Forevermark was this idea he put forward when he went in with his team. He said, his exact words, I always say, give them a vision. He said, buy into a cause. To me, that's setting a goal that's more aspirational. It's saying, this is in box three, what we want to be. And I was very struck, the story I hear all the time about that, he said I gave them this cause. It goes back to that old story about President Kennedy in America when they were had this mission, to put a man on the moon in 10 years, even though they had no idea how to do it then. They didn't know it could be done. But he put the vision out there. And he went and visited NASA somewhere along that journey, and he was meeting all the various scientists and engineers and astronauts, and he came across a man with a broom sweeping the floor, and he said to that man, he said, oh, what do you do here? And the man said, well, I'm here to help put a man on the moon. This was the cleaner. He had a cause, huh? So when I think about Forevermark, and I think about all of your teams, I think, what is it? You're probably a bit like me. When you go out to dinner, if you're in the diamond industry, people are always excited to talk to you because it's an exciting product. Not everybody is so lucky. If you have a lot of bankers with you, at a dinner party, everybody stops talking to them. People like talking to us. And I think, what is it that would motivate all of my team? It's this idea that I sell the most beautiful diamond in the world. I think all of your salespeople would find that a cause. That's the idea of Forevermark. It's a cause to bring the most beautiful diamond to consumers that really has that sparkle and that shine. It can be a cause that motivates people. We want to be part of something great. Everybody wants to be part of something great. And it worked for his power company, and it can work, I think, to unify all of us. That concept of a cause. And to make people proud of what they're doing. And I think everybody who works in the Forever Mark world, whether for De Beers, for our diamantaires, for our jewelers, salespeople who are selling it, the brand ambassadors, they have to feel that pride in doing something bigger than just transacting a sale. And Forever Mark can give them that. And then I think Deepa really just showed us the box 3. There was a really interesting number in there somewhere that said in 2007 is when the first iPhone, that's 10 years ago. Huh? So that's the equivalent of box 3 10 years ago. Just think back, it's not that long ago. What were we doing 10 years? I had a Motorola flip phone. It used to flip open. All I could do on it was talk. That's all it did. Maybe I could then text. Then I had a BlackBerry. Remember BlackBerries? They could talk and they could text. But if you ever tried to search the internet, you'd wait for like 4 minutes with the thing going around. Nothing would come up. You didn't use it for that purpose. And in 10 years, we now have mobile first. And I tell you a good example of being a box 1 thinker, as I was on this topic 10 years ago in 2007. I first said, oh, you know, there's no way we can use mobile for marketing because the screen is too small. You know, who's going to want to watch something on that little tiny screen? Who's going to want to buy something on that little tiny screen? I couldn't see it. So what happened? Well, Apple made the phone bigger, first of all. Phones got bigger, screens got bigger. But what I really missed was that the millennials and the kids who were doing this for the first generation, they didn't have any other experience. They only did it on the phone. So to them, it was normal that it was small. It wasn't a barrier to them. Huh? So I was wrong once. Then I was wrong again on mobile because we could see it all happening in America. When we came and researched in India, they said, oh, hardly anybody uses it here. No, the market's too traditional. It's not going to happen in India. Focus on other areas. Wrong again. That was in about 2 years. It didn't take 10. And now it's obvious. So we need to design for mobile. And I think the lesson I always take, and even looking at some of that creative, we have to remember that it's not the whole marketing mix. We can't try to do everything in the mobile. It's part of a broader mix. So we have to think, what's its purpose for us? What's its narrow purpose within a broader mix? And you know, we can't likely get a 2-minute commercial, everyone to watch a deeply emotional 2-minute commercial. Huh? We got to capture their attention though. We need to make sure they're aware of us. We need to use it to drive people who are really interested into more in-depth engagement with us and use all the tools that we have. But to ignore it, I think we ignore it at our peril. We don't have to wait till 2027 to see that one. So it's a real fantastic example of the speed of change and the need for us to get ahead of it. And I think if there's a constant theme between yesterday and today, it's that if we stand still, we will decline. Standing still is not standing still. Standing still is a long, slow death. We need to say, we can't stand still. We have to look forward. We have to change some things. Some will be right, some will be wrong. Learn quickly. Drop the ones that didn't work. More investment in the ones that do. But make a real clarity. If you leave with one thought from this meeting, it's that what I'm going to be doing next year, the year after, all the way to 10 years, every year has to be a little bit different than what I'm doing today, or I'm going to lose out. Simple idea, hard to do, but that's why we're all here. Thanks very much.